I didn't expect a controller that costs £80, which is roughly $95 to look and feel like a sci-fi gadget that crash landed on my desk. The ZD O Plus Excellence 11th Anniversary Edition doesn't just glow, it radiates. When the RGB powers on, it looks like a spaceship firing up. And honestly, that first impression tricked my brain into thinking it was just another flashy knockoff. Spoiler, it's not. It's ZD's best built controller yet, but not a perfect one. Because the same thing that makes it modular and customizable also made me swear under my breath a few times. I spent the last few months bouncing between the Apex 5, DualSense Edge and Elite Series 2 and everything else in my collection, and I'm very fussy about inputs. Over the course of my time in this channel, I've racked up over 1 million views just talking about controllers. If a trigger creaks or a stick feels off, I will notice it instantly. So when this thing showed up with magnetic modules, metal paddles and Hall effect sticks, I had to know, could ZD really pull off another budget miracle? Let's find out. But firstly, thank you very much to ZD for providing this unit for review. They have no control over what I say, and so this review is my completely honest thought. And first impressions, well, that it's premium. The blue translucent 11th anniversary shell with silver accent tags looks stunning. RGB lighting floods the interior and spills through the buttons. It's ridiculous in the best way. You get rubberized grips, heavy duty plastic triggers, metal paddles and a magnetic faceplate that swaps for a darker one if you prefer low key or the PS5 symmetrical layout. Inside the box are swappable sticks, modules and D-pads, plus an anniversary carry case. Everything feels tight, no rattle, no flex, nothing cheap. Because the top plate's magnetic, it can creak slightly under tight grip, but it never actually shifts out of place. But just bear that in mind. In my testing, nothing broke after weeks of play, unlike the Apex 5 and the G7 Pro, which both gave me dead triggers and had to be replaced. And if the outside looks this good though, wait until you see how it feels in your hands. Shape-wise, it's that Xbox Switch hybrid frame. Perfect if you've got larger hands, the weight's balanced, the grips are rubber, and it stays planted even in long sessions. Those 4 magnetic paddles feel amazing. Metal, clicky, perfectly angled, so you can hit each one naturally without thinking. The problem comes from the extra shoulder buttons. They don't sit higher than the triggers, and so sometimes my fingers hit both the main trigger and the extra one at once. In a playtest shooter of Arc Raiders recently, that was a bit of a disaster. I'd click to heal and fire, basically waving at enemies to come finish me off. But otherwise, comfort is top tier. No fatigue, no heat build-up. Just one warning though. Rubber grips collect grime if your hands aren't spotless, and with natural oils on everyone's hands, that's kind of hard. But the real story hides in the sticks, because that's where this controller quietly flexes its engineering muscles. Oh, hi everyone, post-production Elliot here. Just wanted to quickly say, if you enjoy what I do and want to help me keep making honest, no-nonsense reviews, consider joining my Patreon. You'll get behind-the-scenes updates, blog posts around editing for YouTube, bonus content, shout-outs at the end of my video, and a peek at the chaos that happens before the upload button even gets hit. The link is in the description if you're interested. Sorry, back to the video now. The O Plus uses 3D Hall effect joystick. No physical sensor wear, meaning no stick drift. And Game Paddler's lab results back it up. No inner dead zone, a larger outer one, and 256 step resolution with solid precision. Their technical readout measured an asymmetrical index of 16%, circular error around 4 to 6%, and centering deviation at roughly 3%, which basically means aim tracking stays smooth with only minor variations across the X and Y axes. In short, the stick moves clean, stays centered, and behaves consistently when you flick or micro adjust. Okay, you can be quiet. Out of the box tension is right in the middle, tighter than ZD's older sticks, looser than the Apex 5. You can swap stick caps and even flip between offset Xbox and symmetrical PlayStation layouts via the magnetic faceplate. Polling and latency, Game Paddler clock wired at 9 milliseconds and 802 Hz. 2.4 gigahertz dongle was 15 milliseconds at 262 Hz, and Bluetooth was 26 milliseconds at 163 Hz. I mostly used it over dongle, which as I said was 10 milliseconds, and the Apex 5 clocks closer to 5 milliseconds under the same setup. That small gap doesn't sound huge on paper, but In fast shooters, you can feel it. It's probably why the O Plus felt a touch floatier when I was aiming. It's not broken, just a hair slower on response, and I did feel the notice. Game Paddler's stick circularity measured about 1.02, which basically means a perfect motion circle, and the centering deviation sat near 0, so no wandering aim here. If you want the snappiest response, wired wins, but 2.4 GHz feels fine for casual play, but for sweaty Battlefield 6 gamers lately probably, you want something a tad faster. Triggers though, that's where ZD redeems itself. Each trigger has a hardware switch that flips between linear Hall effects analog and tactile mechanical click. No software toggles, it physically changes the travel path. The bumpers and small shoulders are also micro switch based, giving that mouse click feel right across the top row. Trigger curve is smooth, no sponges. Again, those extra 2 shoulders are placed a little bit too low, but the paddles remain flawless, clicky, stable, fully remappable. Speaking of remapping, let's talk about software. Instead of PC software, ZD runs everything through its mobile ZD game. You can remap buttons, tweak stick curves, vibration strength, and lighting from your phone, including even macro recording if that's your thing. I'm always wary of that one. Connections, as I mentioned, include 2.4 GHz dongle, Bluetooth, and USB-C wired. It officially works with Windows 10 and 11, although Windows 10 is being deprecated soon, Switch, Android, and iOS. Game Paddler also tested Linux and macOS successfully, so credit to those guys. Pairing's simple. Tap the dongle button and the controller's pair key. No dropouts in my testing. It was flawless. Battery life isn't listed, so I'll speak from my use. About 3 to 5 days of play, roughly, before a recharge. There's a charging dock accessory, but it's not bundled, so for around £20 or $25 if you want it. Now, let's see how alive it actually feels once you start playing. The O Plus has 4 vibration motors, so the rumbles feels really balanced. Not overdone, not weak. No adaptive triggers or fancy haptics, but plenty of feedback to keep games feeling responsive. It won't shake your desk, and it won't feel dead either. Exactly what a mid-range Pro Pad should deliver. So, is it worth your money? The official store lists it at $109.99 though marketplace listings hover around $80 or £80 street value. Either way, it undercuts the Apex 5 by a wide margin, while staying shockingly close in feel. You're getting Hall sticks, modular design, RGB, micro switch triggers and bumpers, metal paddles, gyro, and solid connectivity. That's ridiculous value for the money. The only real downsides, slight faceplate creak, awkward extra triggers, and maybe a slightly higher latency than you'd want for competitive gaming. If you can live with that, and you're not chasing esports grade latency, as I said, it's a steal. For casual to mid-core players wanting a premium feel without paying flagship prices, this thing punches way above its weight. So should you buy it? The ZD O Plus Excellent isn't just another flashy budget pad. It's proof that ZD is learning fast. It fixes most of what the Ultimate got wrong, feels sturdier, and looks miles better. The triggers and paddles alone make it a joy to use, and the RGB is just pure nerd candy. It's not flawless, but it's a fun controller to use, and that's what matters. If you're new to pro style controllers, I would definitely start here. Reliable, clicky, customizable, and it absolutely earns a play rating from me. Like, sub, or don't. I'm just glad you got to the end of the video. And if you want to see how this stacks against the Apex 5, that review is right here. Click it and you'll see exactly where they trade blows. Catch you in the next one, guys.